I can see the title on your beautiful T-shirt, and I wonder um, what with the marbles. And I heard there's an Elgin, right, involved. So is that the company, Elgin? So the marbles are like what? Smart marbles, like smart TVs, like smart lighting bulbs. What is that?
There's nothing smart about stealing. Elgin, who pretends to be an Earl, is an actual douchebag.
Okay.
And the actual official title includes "Take Back the Elgin Marbles." So I wanted to do a bit of a play on the word or the term Elgin. That little monster actually wasn't from Elgin. These marbles don't belong to the people of Elgin. The people of Elgin are wonderful. If one of you are out there listening, give me a wave. Hello. I can see you. Scottish people are amazing. But Elgin, or he's not even an Elgin, was born 400 kilometres from there. He's a useless person who relied on money from his wife to go about stealing marbles from the Parthenon, which belonged to the people of Greece. And technically at that time, because we were occupied by the Ottomans, they were the property of the Sultan. This guy never had permission. He is a thief. You know, you talk about the great train robberies, you talk about stealing and looting. This guy is the biggest thief. He shouldn't even be called a lord. He should be called just Thief Lord.
Okay. Correct. I agree with you. So my other question is, I forgot. Damn it. I have another smartest question to make. Okay. I remember. So you think that the marbles should be returned to the park?
110%. The marbles, as we said, were stolen. There was no, it's not like they were borrowed and here's a library card, and do people use library cards these days? You can tell how old I am.
Yeah.
Completely stolen. When a thief takes things and then, sometimes you want to get this property returned back. And I know that, God bless, the British opposition Labour guy a few years ago was campaigning to get the marbles back to Greece through negotiation through the British Museum. But they belong in Greece, and
Of course.
there's a lot of people who've been pushing that, and I wish them all the best trying to get our marbles back.
Okay.
They need to come home.
Correct. I love that you're so passionate about it, but you realize that the marbles returning to Greece, they would still be at the museum, right? And you don't go to museums. What is wrong with you? Why don't you go to museums? I mean, you go to museums as much as you brush your hair, which is never. So I wonder, is that a trauma involving both things? Like, were you abused with a hairbrush at a museum? What is wrong with you?
I think pretty much that's what happened to me. I think I've probably only been to museums maybe 10 times in my lifetime, and 10% of those, actually 20% of those, have been to the Acropolis Museum. So 2 visits.
Okay.
And seeing the section there which is left for the stolen marbles, that's that's something that triggered me. And I watched a movie a few years back, and it was about the marbles, and it was just really disappointing because it just didn't twists and turns. It was really, the acting was a little bit wooden, and it was set around that museum. So I don't go to museums because I kind of like to go archaeological digs. I am a walking museum, as you can see. And I chose also not to go to the British Museum. So my mates and I once turned up. We said we're going to go see what's been stolen. We're going to see the Aboriginal stuff that's been taken from Australia. And then someone said, look, there's a Greek restaurant nearby. And it's like, okay, we can go to the British Museum and I can cause trouble, or we can go and eat Greek food with a bunch of mates. And we chose the latter because keeping things in captivity like zoos are not my thing.
Okay. I know. Yeah.
Free the marbles.
Free the marbles. Great. Okay. Do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, look, it's the book is based on historical events that took place, but there's a lot of fiction and a lot of creative license. This is not connected to any Return the Marbles committees. I'm completely separate. I've spent a lifetime working on Hellenic and Greek causes and that kind of thing, human rights. So I'm not connected to any of that. This is just my fiction, historical fiction rather, set to the backdrop of the looming Greek Revolution. So it's a period of 1800 to 1807. I bring in all these different characters from all over the Greek world: Alexandria, Gareciano, and Greco Calabria. People from all over the place, and hopefully there's a bit of fun in there, and hopefully some historical lessons. I've got, and it's an easy read. It's a fun read, and hopefully it'll be thought-provoking. If you read the book, if you can't afford it, just let me know. I'll get you a copy. I just want you to read the book, and if you can help some of the Parthenon committees out there, great. If you can write to the British Prime Ministers, great. We need to bring those marbles home. They've been stolen. And there's a lot of museums around the world that have artifacts that don't really belong to them.
Yeah.
Taken by higher upper class, by rat bags, and the British museums and their boards are generally run by that kind of elitist mentality. Got to come back, got to go home to Greece. There's absolutely no problem with lending 10% of that or 5% of that. The governments can negotiate that, even though the British Museum holds the ownership at the moment. But the ownership was based on fraud. It was based on a fake firman. The Sultan never gave permission, and the theory that the Greeks would not have been able to look after the marbles, or the Turks would have been ruinous. The Turks, for all their faults, the Ottomans, they did not go about destroying ancient temples and churches. Some churches they converted, some temples they converted into mosques, but this Acropolis wasn't there to be ripped and destroyed and putting scaffolding and stuff like that. It is daylight robbery, it's theft. It needs to come home. The British Museum needs to do the right thing, get it back to Greece. The Greeks will give something back in return. And I know it opens up a Pandora's box, but stealing Aboriginal artifacts, stealing things from Africans, stealing things from Latin Americans, these things, unfortunately, they need to go back to their proper ownership. And sometimes parts of it can be loaned back or leased out for a significant number of years. But museums are great education, but ultimately, if something's stolen, it's got to come back.
Okay, now your taxi is here.
That's
Marinha
it.
do Brasil. Go! Uh-oh.